This morning, an old friend texted me a link. I was really disappointed. I'll be honest with you. It was a link to a Matt Fradd short on YouTube. Evidently, Matt Fradd had Alex Rado on for 3.5 hours. And what they do is they will evidently, if stuff's about monetization, clicks and views and likes and all this kind of stuff, which I don't really understand. We don't do that stuff. I'm not saying you're wrong if you do. I just know that it introduces some less than proper motivations in what you want to put out and how you want people to respond to it. It may not be the best thing for the truth and speaking the truth in love. Anyway, they put out this 1 minute and 8 second short titled, Matt Fradd did. It's Pints with Aquinas. It's Matt Fradd. Pastor's debate goes horribly wrong after previous pastor went Catholic. I'm going to go ahead and play this. It's only 1 minute and 8 seconds long. And this is definitely fair use because I'm going to be saying it's simply wrong. It's just wrong about everything. If you go back, last summer, I headed up to the Denver area, as I normally do, and I stopped in Colorado Springs. I had contact with a Reformed Baptist church in Colorado Springs. It had to do with a former member of that church who was a Reformed Baptist, his very unfair criticisms of me, and how the elders of that church, without having initially been in contact with me, at least at first, had rebuked this man for the way he was behaving toward me. And he eventually left and he attacked them. I remember we had gotten connected up. We talked on the phone. And I felt badly that there had been division in the church that had anything to do with me. So I mentioned to the leadership, I come through Colorado Springs. Jason Lyle's in the area. We can go stargazing. Why don't we plan something where I come by on my summer trip and do something to benefit the church? That was the first motivation for stopping in Colorado Springs last summer. As we started talking about it, the first topic I wanted to address was open theism. And so they're contacting the folks up in Denver where we had done the open theist debates before and trying to get people and run around the gum stump. This person would be willing to do it, but not during this period of time. And this other guy is out of town. It just never happened. It fell apart. And we ran out of time. And so we're like, maybe we could do a Roman Catholic topic. And that's when I was told, and I did not know this before, that the former pastor of this Reformed Baptist church had become a Roman Catholic. So I said, he's still in the area? Contact him. See if he'd be willing to debate. If you think you've got such clear evidence that what you once believed was false, this would be a great opportunity to explain that to a larger audience and your old church. So they contacted him, and of course, he wasn't interested. He wouldn't do it, which I think is relevant. Our first topic we were looking for had nothing to do with Roman Catholicism. It was just, I'm coming in, we're trying to set up a debate, and let's do it on open theism. I think it's an important topic. That didn't work out. Former pastor became Roman Catholic. Will he debate? I'll be glad to debate him. Let's do that. He won't debate. They got in touch with a fellow there locally, and I know his name. They tried to get hold of a number of different Roman Catholic apologists. And the last guy on their list that didn't bail out on or say no was Alex Rado. Now, I didn't know much about Alex. In fact, once they got back to me, I didn't say, hey, let's go after this Alex Rado guy. No, I had no idea who on earth he was. I remember once they came back and said, this guy named Voice of Reason, Alex Rado, he's willing to debate. It was only a matter of weeks before the debate. I was in Flagstaff, wanting to do this ride at high altitude. What am I doing while I'm doing these long rides? It's a really nice road to ride on a bike. I'm listening to Alex Rado, but the only thing I can really listen to is him debating Eastern Orthodox guys because he just hasn't done that much. And so I'm listening. I'm going, oh, wow, I'm going to be debating Sylvester Stallone. He knows that. He sounds just like him. And that's one of the first things I said to him we met is, has he ever sued you? But I'm listening to the content and how does he debate? That's okay. I'm just trying to get a flavor. He did have one video on Sola Scriptura, so I listened to that. It wasn't very long. It wasn't in-depth, standard stuff. But I didn't know who he was. And so when we met, everybody at the church was really kind and extended themselves. I tried to be much nicer than the average Scotsman. It was so much more personable than Jimmy Akin debates. And it was actually a debate. It wasn't just a long presentation interrupted by the other guy talking for a while. That's a Jimmy Akin debate anymore, which is why I have no interest in that stuff anymore. Now, I didn't come back and dissect the debate. I didn't come back and say, I had certain people say this to me and certain people say that to me. I generally don't do that. Try to let the debates speak for themselves. Alex will tell you, within the past month, I contacted him. And by the way, we had lunch together on my way home. It was very pleasant, and he's a nice guy. I've maintained a little contact with him once in a while. I contacted him last month and said, hey, would love to debate you on the perpetual virginity of Mary in Tullahoma in September. Sorry, I'm all booked up into next year. All right. So we're working on another debate on a completely different topic for Tullahoma. I extended that invitation to engage that kind of topic. But like I said, we didn't come back, and I didn't try to spin these things. I'm not going to come back after debate and go, a lot of audience members thought this, that, or the other thing. That's what's disappointing about this. That's now what has happened from Alex's side. And it's very disappointing. It really is. So here it is, 1 minute and 8 seconds, and then we're going to respond to it. For me to be able to queue stuff up, I have to hear it in here, but that means I can't be sending it to where it needs to go, which is there. Ready? Here we go.
Most of the people watching the debate were Protestants. It seemed like I was winning over his crowd. And I don't say it to brag, this is what what other people confirmed to me. People were telling me, do you feel the energy in the room? The Catholics were looking at the non-Catholics in the room too, and they were like, they agree with you. The reason that debate happened was because the pastor of that church became Catholic and left the church. The new pastor had to pick up the pieces because the people were scandalized that their pastor left to become Catholic. He thought, I need to get the biggest gun in town, James White, have him come here in front of my people, get any Catholic and just have James White destroy him in the debate, and that'll fix the problem and nobody will think about leaving to Catholicism. They go through all of these guys who were much more capable than me.
But in God's providence, you were chosen. They may not have done as well as you.
Everyone knew why the debate was taking place. They wanted Dr. White to make an example out of me so that their people could be cool. We did the debate. It went down the way that it went down, and what everyone was telling me after was the word that they used was it backfired terribly on them. It backfired really bad. Now the situation is worse.
What kind of feedback did you get in person and online afterwards?
It was 99% positive. Most of the people that were there watching the debate.
Okay, pastor of the church heard about this last night. I only heard about it this morning. He wrote a lengthy comment. You can find it on YouTube. I'm going to read it for you out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. The title of this short, along with the sound bites from Alex, misrepresent the Reformed Baptist Church, the pastor, and the nature of this event. This is a grossly embellished take on the setup of this debate. I'm not sure what Mike Dill and the Inferno men, that's the Catholic side that arranged this thing, and had sought other Roman Catholic apologists and could not get them, told Alex about the situation with the former pastor, but the way Alex describes this is wrong. The debate did not happen because of a former pastor turned Catholic controversy. The now Catholic former pastor of the church left in 2018. The pieces have long been picked up since then, and scandalized is a major stretch to describe what happened with the RB, Reformed Baptist Church, 7 years ago. Just because the history of the Reformed Baptist Church has a story that is helpful to Alex's campaign doesn't mean it can be falsely used for gaining popularity. To make an example out of Alex and to suggest that flies in the face of the spirit of humility and clarity that both the Reformed Baptist Church and the Catholic Inferno men strived for. Alex did a superb job debating Dr. White that took everyone, even the Catholics, by surprise, and perhaps that was the perception of winning them over. However, I'm not so sure Alex was as persuasive to the Reformed Baptist Church as he is leading folks to believe on the various platforms he has been on. Almost a year later, not one member of the Reformed Baptist Church has converted to Roman Catholicism. There was no backfire because this was not the nature or intent of the debate. Whatever situation Alex is referring to is not worse because there was no fallout. Alex and the Inferno men had quite the Catholic entourage in a place that seated only 120 people. This was not supposed to be a debate on sola scriptura. The Reformed Baptist Church considered an atheist, 3 open theists, and 1 other guy as potential debate opponents. The first time a Catholic was entertained was when the church was running out of time, and Mike Dill with the Inferno men returned their phone call. They presented 1 Catholic guy that backed out soon after, then Alex. Contrary to what Alex says, this was not a debate to pick up pieces and make an example with the heavy hitter Dr. White. At best, Alex has embellished the course of events. At worst, he is lying for the sake of his recent popularity. I like Alex, and he was very humble during the event. I didn't expect this from him. That's exactly my feeling. I'm really disappointed too. This isn't the Alex that I had lunch with right afterwards or have talked to since then. I'm sorry, Alex, you were not our first choice. We did not know who you were. This was not find an easy patsy and destroy him. This was not because of what had happened 7 years earlier. Everything you said was simply false. Maybe that's what had been communicated to you. If so, then your Roman Catholic friends have misled you. But if that was the truth, why do I have all sorts of emails going back and forth before you were ever contacted with open theists? When I talk to the church, I'd like to come do something. We could do a little conference type thing, and maybe we could do a debate. Yeah, we'd love to do that. What would you like to debate? I'd like to debate open theism. I'd like to debate some of these guys that are coming up. Not the really whacked out, nasty dudes, but people that are getting a little bit of a exposure and stuff like that. Okay, and so phone calls and emails start, and we're getting closer in time. Everything that was just said isn't true. People that talked to me that were at the debate were like, yeah, he's a nice guy, but he's really in over his head. This didn't seem, he's a bull in a china closet. He makes a lot of assertions, but doesn't have a whole lot of reasoned evidence behind what he's saying. I just hope you don't get accused of low-hanging fruit stuff again. The guy was gracious. I felt like he didn't establish Roman Catholic Church authority and tried to turn it into a sola scriptura debate. I understand why they have to do that, because they won't positively defend Rome's positive claims. And even when they think they are, they're actually just attacking sola scriptura anyways. The sad reality that all Roman Catholic apologists are forced into by the nature of their system. But I didn't come back and start talking about, I had this person say low-hanging fruit. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let people watch the debate and come to their own decisions. So when I watch this thing, and I'm just like, what? That's not true. That wasn't the intention of the church, the pastors, the elders. Wasn't my intention. We wanted to do a debate on other topics first. They all fell apart. I had forgotten the atheist one. I do have vague recollection of that. Even as he pointed out, you weren't the first one they went for. That guy said yes and then said no. So why even say this stuff? Why go here? I really don't understand it. I don't understand the motivation. Once I saw that, you know what I was talking about. It was sad to see that. I did not expect it. But I'm not saying I'm not going to debate him in the future, but I'm going to keep good notes because there you go. It shouldn't have gone out that way.